Welcome to Massive Beers. My name is Matt. We do the beer stuff here. Classics time again. That's right, a little bit of classics up in this piece. A beer I've never reviewed on the channel, but goddamn, a beer I've had before. But again, it's been a very long time. Samuel Smith's. It's their chocolate stout in a can, mind you. So we've been doing the whole massive beer review classics thing, and I'm constantly looking for old school jams that I've either reviewed before, grew up on, or stuff that I just never covered in the past that it's kind of gotten pushed to the wayside for newer and cooler, hipper stuff. And I belong to a couple different email kind of I don't even know what you call them. So a bunch of breweries and distributors send out emails about like beers they have, and they're always like, if you want a sample, let us know, blah, blah, blah. I rarely take them up on an offer, but I got this from Merchant du Vin. Merchant du Vin, for those that don't know, is one of the largest importers of beer in the United States. And they sent out, hey, chocolate stout in cans. If anybody wants any, let me know. And I was like, you know what? It'd be perfect for a classic review. So here we are. So what do we have going on here? We have Samuel Smith's organic chocolate stout, malt beverage brewed with natural flavor, brewed and canned in the UK. Samuel Smith's is a small, fiercely independent, family-owned and operated brewery since 1758. Let's see. 5% alcohol by volume. Imported by Merchant du Vin. They're out of Washington. I always thought Merchant du Vin was on the East Coast for some reason. Done and done. Organic. USDA organic, and classic. I mean, you're talking about Samuel Smith's labeling. Kind of weird to see their beers in cans to a certain extent, but the classic, bottle shape, label, stuff, and words. Yeah, does not suck. So this is this nitro? I don't think it was nitrodized. It could have been a thing where I brought it out here in the shed, and it got a little bit jostled. I don't know, but we have a gigantic head, so we'll have to talk through it. That's fine. We'll do it. I've had this beer pour a little bit more like that in the past. So what else have we got going on in the can here? It's with Theraboma cacao, is what that looks like to me, as far as what kind of chocolate they're using. Let me move that little light back a little bit further. Probably work a little bit better for y'all. Yeah, so that going on there. And like I said, seeing it in cans is a little bit weird as far as this is SB, man. It's just batch number, so I can't give you a date on it. But definitely, I like the idea, especially European beers coming over here that were originally in bottles in cans, just because the transportation's quicker. It's just a better vessel for stuff like that. So, not too shabby. As far as the beer looks, it definitely looks the part of a rich kind of oatmealish, low ABV-ish kind of stout. It has that big, gigantic head. Most of that's on me and how I pour things. And then just that rich, dark kind of body to it. It is really dark too. It's more of an ultra dark brown than a black, but I have to hold it up to light to really get any kind of coloration out of it. If I look through the bottom here through the light, I get a little brownish mahogany tones to it, so it looks all the parts of a nice little stout. It's a good nose. Gobs and gobs of chocolate, man. Chocolate stouts are just kind of one of my favorite things, and it's one of those things with going back to this kind of reviewing a bit more readily available classics-y stuff. It's one of those beer styles that you don't see a lot in today's beer world. Listen, adjunct-laden pastry stouts are a thing, but there are always so many different adjuncts thrown at usually a high ABV beer. Chocolate is in there, sure, but there's usually marshmallow and just, I don't know, avocado toast and all kinds of weird crap that they put in the beer nowadays. But the base chocolate stout was kind of like, it was a tradition with a lot of different breweries. And some of my favorite beers, like, comes to mind, Flying Monkeys, with their Chocolate Manifesto. It's a great combination if it's done really well. Here we just get this nice big burst of chocolate. Definitely comes off milk chocolate like. Not all the sweet milk chocolate. There's a little bit of tempered kind of maybe soft little roasty toasty kind of bitterness, kind of will kind of balance things out a little bit. But at least on the nose it comes off very much dessert like, very rich, very much bigger than what that ABV is. It comes off as a more impactful beer than 5% typically comes around. Now there are some really great low ABV beers or stouts that are, chocolate forward, that are big. Gunner's Daughter from Mass Landing comes to mind. But it has this nice, rich, bursting chocolate. Now listen, it says chocolate stout on the can. That's what I want. But you'd be surprised how many breweries say stuff on cans or bottles or whatever, and they don't come through. So, a little bit of roasty toastiness on behind this nice, rich kind of chocolate. Aromatics. Let's dive in. Cheers, y'all. That's a lot of chocolate, man. I do not remember this being this chocolate forward. It's delicious. It's not like overbearing chocolate. It's not like to the point where it's like too much chocolate by any stretch of the imagination. Oh. Yeah. Man, there is the slightest bit of bittering there. It's more of a roasted toasted kind of bittering as opposed to like a hop bittering. There's really not much of any hop presence at all in this beer. It's got a really nice mouthfeel. Definitely something that you wouldn't expect of something if 5% ABV in a stout. It's a bit more dense than you'd expect for a porter, but it still has this kind of creamy fluffiness to it, so that's quite nice. And really, it all hangs every single hat it owns on the amount of chocolate that's in here. I might go, this might be a little bit too much chocolate for something. For a stout to kind of show the beer through the chocolate, but I ain't hating on it. I am not hating on it. Because honestly, it's a chocolate stout. It's supposed to taste like chocolate. And this tastes like chocolate through and through, but at the same time, it still tastes like beer. It's not just, gobs and gobs of chocolate without the beer presence being there. That roasty, toasty, almost slightly touch of astringent kind of bittering from the malt is definitely there. Each sip a little bit bigger. Again, like I said, that chocolate portion of the show is the start of the show, but you know you're still drinking a beer, and drinking a very fun beer at that. You're talking about something that's, just 0.1% off of what we would deem classically sessionable. For that ABV level, for something that is session level strength of a beer, to have this much impact, to have a beautiful, silky, rich kind of mouthfeel to it, while having this big impact, while still retaining itself as being drinkable, is a really cool beer. And it's honestly one of my favorite things about returning to a lot of these and kind of covering them and going over them, is seeing, not just seeing, what I miss by drinking a lot more new beer than the old school beer, but seeing where a lot of the new school influence, when it comes to those kind of millennial pastry stouts that everybody loves so much, you can find a lot of that in this beer. Again, like I said, there's so much different bits and pieces and adjuncts that get thrown in those beers nowadays, it's kind of hard to keep track. But at its core is something that's very much kind of fun, drinkable, desserty, while still being beer. And while a lot of the new beers can get a little bit far away from that beer classification, I guess you would say, it's all about having fun and tasting fun flavors. And that's where this comes in. This is a classic dessert beer. It comes off like it should. It's a chocolate stout that comes off as very much desserty, but at the same time still has that kind of core of being true to itself, of being actual beer. Cool trait to pull off, man. I dig this. I dig this quite a bit. It's been so long since I've purchased it. I've, drank my fair share of Sammy Smith's, actually. From Yorkshire Stingo to, just their base Imperial Stout, to even, Tatty Castor. There's a bunch of beers from them that I'll get every now and then. But for some reason, this is a beer that just kind of is not one of them. I think I'm rectifying that now. I think this has kind of tipped the scales for me to kind of pick this up from time to time, especially if I want that lower ABV kind of chocolate fix when it comes to beer. I might want to do kind of like a side-by-side of this with a couple different other kind of chocolate low ABV stouts and see where this one kind of falls in the grand scheme of things as far as what I like when it comes to a chocolate beer. Be a really fun kind of combination to do. I'm game. Hopefully you are. There you go. Is it one of the better chocolate stouts I've had as well? Yes, Mount Rushmore status. We're going to put it up there. Especially on the low ABV tip. Not that I drink a ton of adjunct-laden stouts, but this is very, very tasty. Value and availability. I mean, it's Sammy Smith's. I'm assuming, and I haven't seen this in cans on shelves. I think it just got released. Came right from Merchant Vin. So, I'm guessing you can get this at an extremely decent price point. I don't know if it's fluctuated though. You know, if going from bottle to can, if they've lowered price, or just, you know, that means of a cheaper production. That's where they're finding a new margin. But if you've seen this in cans on a shelf, please let me know what you paid and leave you with if you like what we yes. If you like pastry stout, so that's the cool conversation to have. Is that if you are a pastry stout, if that's your jam, if that's what you love to drink, and you want something that is of that ilk, but drinkable, sessionable, this would be really, really cool for you to try. Because I think, you know, that's the downfall of a lot of those beers. They 10, 12, 13, 14, 15% with all this sweet on sweet on sweet adjunct. You jump onto this, I think it kind of scratches that itch without having that huge kind of caloric bill, and you know, still delivers the goods. Sammy Smiths, have you been to the brewery? Have you had a bunch of their beers? Have you had this beer? Have you had it in bottles? If you're watching this channel or watching this video more specifically, I assume you have. Have you had it in cans yet? Do you notice any kind of difference? Any of that stuff? Talk about it down there. So, hopefully you guys enjoyed our review. Hopefully enjoying a little bit of old school and new school vessels. Hopefully see you next time. Cheers, y'all.